this is Jamie Elmer, and we're going to talk a little bit about what I call the state of the union. One of the definitions of yoga is union, as you know, and we both teach internationally and in many cities every year, so we get a good cross-reference of what's going on in the Hatha Yoga world. And so we're just going to discuss what we've been witnessing and where we think things seem to be going in the yoga world. You have any thoughts? Just a few.
Yeah, we could talk for a year about this. Yeah. And I think obviously yoga has become more popular in many ways that has been of service to people and also a disservice in some ways. It's really good that more people are exposed to yoga. That's great.
It's over 30 million in the United States now.
That are practicing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it's still a very limited demographic. If you go into any yoga studio, it's mostly women still. And if you go into the big city yoga studios like New York or LA, you'll see mostly slender, younger women. And that's great. It's great that slender, younger women or women in general are doing it, but the question then we have to ask is why aren't men doing it? And why aren't women who are not thin so much? Why aren't they doing it? Why don't they feel comfortable? Because obviously they're reading the same articles about the benefits. So even though in the yoga world we say it's open to everybody, it's good for everybody, we say that verbally. There's something that's non-verbal that's going on, where when they come in to the yoga room or see the ads, see the photos that we are presenting,
right.
They don't come, or they don't come back.
And one of the things is advertising, and I think just the bottom line of statistics that I've heard, where if there is someone that doesn't look a certain way on the cover of a certain magazine, their sales go down. So, that's one aspect. Mm-hmm. With the boom of yoga and the amount sometimes, let's just be honest, the amount that a studio can make from holding a teacher training. There's a lot of teachers out there now, which is good. That can spread yoga to more people. But there's a lot of teachers that have very little training going into their teacher training.
And very little experience practicing before they go into the training.
Yeah.
They might be practicing for 3 months,
right?
4 days a week, and then they go into a teacher training. You have to, if you want to be a sushi chef, it's hard for me to say that, sushi chef. If you want to be one of those, you have to learn to sharpen the knife for 1 year before you move on.
Yeah.
That's less difficult than teaching yoga, I promise.
And that's really where I feel like it starts. Yeah. Besides the advertising and marketing, is that there's a lot of people now teaching with very little experience prior to their teacher training. Then their teacher training, the level and quality of their teacher training is sometimes not the best. Because they're taking a teacher training oftentimes from teachers that have not been teaching very long. I do like what Andy Carpenter wrote once, was quoted as saying that it's a good just rule of thumb to practice or to teach for 10 years before teaching a teacher training. I think that's a very good rule of thumb to follow. And then back to how yoga is marketed, and it really is for everyone and everybody, but we have a lot of teachers out there that don't have enough experience in their own practice yet, or enough experience to be teaching other teachers with bodies that are different from theirs. It is incredibly important to learn how to work with, if I am 5'6" and 125 female, how to work with 6'4" and a person Max's size. Or a person that is 80 and can't get out of a chair.
Or can't get on the floor and back up easily at all. So you can't say, okay, get down on the floor and do plank pose. Now get back up on your feet, and that's going to take 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And so a lot of yoga they have these sequences. The sequences themselves are designed for very healthy people or very young people. And then when they get people who can't do them for whatever reason, they're too large, they're too old, they've had injuries that prevent them from having range of motion or strength, then they try to disassemble the sequence. They scratch it and they think, well, maybe you could do that. And the way that makes people feel is, oh, there's something wrong with me. They're having to make exceptions for me. It's like giving someone training wheels. It's like everyone's riding a bike, but they give you training wheels. So the ego doesn't like that, and it's embarrassing. So I think one of the solutions is to create sequences for the masses, for most people, that virtually everyone can do. And then if you have athletic people in your class, give them special things to do. Treat them as the exception rather than the person who can't get down on the floor. That way the people who have a bad arm, a bad leg, a bad knee, a bad neck, or they're just old and creaky because they have arthritis, they can do the whole class and they're completely happy. And then you have a couple of people from Cirque du Soleil in your class, and you can say, for you guys, when I say this, you do that. I think it's a more efficient and really more inclusive way of teaching that I'm really urging people to try out.
And I think, I remember when I was teaching in Los Angeles full time, having this thought while teaching a level 1 class, that I wanted those guys that were walking by the studio every day and looking in, and that thought yoga was not for them. I wanted them to walk in and feel like they could do everything. And it's not that as teachers you're going to come out of your first 200-hour teacher training, and let's just say that is the beginning. You need many more trainings than that. You're not going to come out of that teacher training knowing how to work with every level, every body, every knee issue, everything. And that's where I think we need to reinforce and encourage people that a 200-hour training is just the beginning.
That's right.
And continued education is a must. And that's where we learn how to work with more and more people, because at the end of the day, I think that is probably our bottom line, is to help as many people as possible. So we need more training to be able to do that. It doesn't come all at once. It just comes from time and experience.
That's right. A lot of what you learn as a teacher of anything, I believe, is experience. And no one can teach you that. You just have to do it day after day. And so that's why there's a difference from someone who teaches 2 classes a week for 5 years versus someone who teaches 12 classes a week for 5 years. The experience level is astronomically different.
Yeah. And I think bottom line, we, and it'll continue to change, we'll have our specialties and what we do. We work with this population better, or are more interested in this population more than this population. We're not going to be teachers to everyone. And
I don't work with children.
I don't work with children either.
Yeah, but we like children.
I don't do dog yoga, but I love my dog. But it's so you don't have to be a master of everything.
No, you can't be a master of everything.
But it is important to continue to learn, really.
Yes.
And I think the point that I was first thinking is that there is no substitute for practice, whether that's your practice or practice teaching. You will not learn that in a book. You will not learn it from watching this video. You have to practice teaching in order to be a better teacher.
That's right. I like to say that even Mozart, who was one of the not only great composers and pianists of his time, he was one of the greatest of all time. He practiced 8 hours a day. So even the gifted have to sit down and do their work.
Yeah. And it's a process. It's a process. I mean, I would say keep doing your practice, whatever that looks like.
Yes.
And keep practice teaching. And continue to think of how can I make this practice that we love and these tools that we love accessible to more people.